Welcome to Switch It Up. And today on Switch It Up, I have a friend with me, and he happens to have an HDT. This is Mr. Robert Barclay. You're the fine owner of the Barclay travel trailer / home on wheels. Was that?
That's close enough. Travel home, but that's good.
Travel home.
It's a good.
Yeah.
Hey, good to be here, Todd.
I know.
Good to see you.
Happens to be like our number 2 best video ever that's ever been watched on Switch It Up is our walkthrough of your video. Did you know that?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
number 2.
Number 2.
Number 1. You know what number 1 is?
Yeah.
Our walkthrough video.
Well, that came after.
I
gave you all those. I gave you all the new subscribers.
Yeah. That's the way it worked. Today we're talking about HDT trucks and what it takes to when you buy your HDT to convert it to have it registered as an RV. That's what we're talking about today. So we're going to roll the intro. We're going to jump into it, and I'll share a lot of little tips and tricks from their truck to our truck, and hopefully it'll be able to help you out. So roll the intro.
A man and a woman left their home to switch things up and go on the road. They didn't know where they would go, but it's gotta be better than staying home. They switched it up. They switched it up.
And we're back. It's like we never left. You know,
that was a quick one.
It was so quick. Like time goes by like that when you're rolling the intro.
When you're a good editor, it's amazing.
All right, so we're gonna start with Robert's setup, Robert and Julius, because you when you started your little adventure, you were looking for an HDT, and you ended up purchasing your HDT, and it was already registered as an RV, correct?
Well, I only want to go back maybe just a little bit
great.
of that.
Yeah.
Because when we designed our travel home, and I was all excited about getting a 350, 450, a 1-ton dually.
Right.
That's where I was going to go.
Right.
You know, and then
what's the weight of your current setup?
It was 24 and change. Now it's just about 25.
Okay.
And
because it is complete custom what they're doing. So
right.
Yep.
Yeah. But we knew what the capacity was of the truck, and that's what we do, right? We look at the capacities of the truck, and then we design to it. But I had no idea what an HDT was. I never even heard of it.
Oh.
And then I was doing research and looking at what people doing and some of the white knuckle experiences people had. You know, when they have your towables.
Right.
And we found out about the HDTs, and we were like, wow, this is great. And then we actually bought our smart car a year before we got our HDT.
Okay.
And so we reversed the whole process. But anyway, so then we were out looking for HDTs. I mean, we figured out, safety, comfort, all the different reasons why you would want one. Started looking, and it was not easy.
No. You had a whole thing that you had to go through. People were being sold out from underneath them.
Every time, and we tried to bargain, right? Oh yeah. Well,
we all try to bargain.
That's not the right strategy. Then we were fortunate enough to find one that was already all set up. One that we were lucky, again, a few miles on it, but it was all set up the way we wanted it.
Right.
The bed had the smart car setup, had everything in it that we needed.
Okay.
So it's a Volvo 780, 2017, 18, around there.
All those fancy numbers.
Yeah. So,
but it was already registered as an RV.
That's the key,
right?
Because the previous owner, he actually ordered it new and had it built. He ordered it single, bed built,
right?
Registered as an RV. He, I think, had it registered, if I remember, in Montana.
Okay.
In LLC, right?
So that brings me to the thing is, like, if you are looking at buying one already converted, and you can find these on Facebook. I say this all the time. You can find them on Facebook, different places. And if it's already been converted to an RV, then just buying it and switching it to your state, it's not a problem.
Yeah, it should be fairly simple.
Then we get the question, well, what if I want to buy a truck and have it converted? Because I get this all the time. You're looking at an HDT, but Todd, I want to register it as an RV. Or, hey, why did you buy that truck? I get this one a lot. Why did you buy that one and not just a day cab? And I'm like, okay, well then, if you understood what was happening, you can have a day cab, but then I have to pay higher prices for property taxes and everything else because I can't convert it to an RV. And so let's jump over to my truck. Coincidentally, did you know Volvo actually owns Mac? Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah.
Did you know it's Swedish?
Not that he's not Swedish or anything. So let's jump over and let me share with you kind of like what happened in our process. So what we have is a 2019 Mac Anthem. We purchased it in Oklahoma. I think it's Bruckner's where we purchased it from. And it had 497,000 miles on it. It was black. You can watch our whole process of making the bed and all that fun stuff on some of our other videos. Now, it was in our back of our mind, we wanted to use it as an RV. And in the state of Kansas, why this is important, they go off of weight and classification. Property taxes in the state of Kansas, I bet you didn't know this, Robert. Our property taxes on this truck when we got it, not converted, was $2,500 a year just in property taxes, which is crazy.
That means property like license.
No, property taxes and then your licenses on top of that. So state of Kansas does it differently. Every state's different in how they do that. So we knew right away we needed to, once the conversion was done for just the back part, we needed to get it registered as an RV. State of Kansas has 4 properties, and this could, you're gonna have to get, where you're gonna find this is on like your property tax evaluation stuff, but most of it's all gonna be about the same. Number 1, it has to have 12 volt or higher electrical source. So when I asked Robert if he had a microwave and stuff, that's because what we did on this is it actually has a place for your microwave, it's got a place for a television set, well, it's got a normal inverter like what you would have in an RV. So we have a 2,500 watt inverter that's underneath the bed, and that inverter gives us all the electrical resources as a normal RV.
Gotcha.
2, you're gonna need sleeping quarters, hence it's not a day cab, right? So we have 2 beds. Do you have, in your Volvo, do you have like a table and then a bed, or is it 2 beds in yours?
It's a table and it's a table that converts into a bed,
Okay.
so it becomes 2, or you can have a workstation if you
Yeah,
call it that.
so you gotta have sleeping quarters.
Yep.
So those are like very important. So electricity, sleeping quarters. Believe it or not, in the state of Kansas, you don't necessarily have to have a toilet. You have a toilet, but you have to have plumbing necessities to make it registered as an RV. So in yours, do you have like a sink in
Yeah,
yours?
for South Dakota, I was just reading that this morning actually, that both the toilet and the sink can be freestanding or plumbed.
Yep.
So in both of our cases, the sink goes down to a holding tank, because it's freestanding in the sense, so it's got both the in and
Right.
out, and the toilet is just a little portable porta potty.
So what we did was we did a porta potty that was just freestanding. We put it up underneath the bed.
Yep.
Even though it wasn't a requirement, it was something I felt that they were going to call us on. Number 2 was the biggest, and that was having the sink. Now I found an end around. If you don't want to pay to have an extensive amount of plumbing, start looking at a lot of different overlanding websites. And I found a product, and it is a contained sink unit that actually has fresh water and a small gray water capacity, so that you could have running water without having to plumb it through the whole rig. But I did have the capacity to run that same plumbing all the way back to what he said earlier. We have a 40-gallon gray/black tank on the back, so we could have fresh water and then have the capacity to plumb it to get rid of that.
Yeah,
So-
in our in our Volvo, by the way, I
Yeah.
mean, these are all in their V&L series,
Right.
which is over-the-road trucks,
Right.
OTR. The whole sink and the refrigerator
Right.
and all of that, and the little drawers and stuff was all part of the interior.
Yep.
Already.
We
So-
have the same thing. It came with the refrigerator. It came with the microwave. I have the 110 outlet to have a
Gotcha.
TV. So we have all that, and I have a closet. So we could show all that, so that when they did the inspections, we knew. But the thing that was missing was the plumbing for
The sink.
the water source in the sink to be able
Okay.
to wash your hands. That's
Gotcha.
the number one thing that they're wanting, is some plumbable source, and it's very, very important. Now, once you get these components in place and you have all these things done, I'm going to put on here kind of like the breakdown of what I found in the state of Kansas, so I could run by that guidelines. We submitted pictures, and then we had a small inspection, and then they said, okay, boom, you are now an official RV. Okay, so this is an RV that is towing a travel trailer. People ask us this stuff all the time because our RV is so big. It is technically a travel trailer in the state of Kansas, hence that's how come we can be so long. So it's kind of like these little technicalities depending on what state you're in.
Yep.
Now, you already said being in the Dakota made it really super easy for you, and since your other thing was registered in Montana, that made it super easy as well.
Yeah, because we were already, it was all set, and all we had to do was show that. It was no inspections, no submission, no, I mean, nothing.
So the person that ends up, if we end up selling this in the future, it's already registered as an RV, so they won't have a problem. It also helped having a garage that I could say, hey, I also have a garage for a motorcycle. They were like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that all helped. That all came into play. Now, here's the amazing part. By the wave of a magic wand of them saying it's now an RV, what do you think our property taxes are now?
$250.
It's like $250.
See, 1/10.
Yeah, $250 is our property taxes, and then you still have your. So each year now we're around $300 because it also goes on weight in the state of Kansas, versus that $2,500 for just having the truck. So it is important to understand the nuances of getting one of these already done, like what Robert and Julie did, or converting it and knowing what you need to put in.
What's the property tax? Yes, there's a question.
State of Kansas?
Yeah, but what would be the property tax on your, say, 1-ton dually?
Oh, it's the same.
Oh, it's the same as
it goes off of
weight.
Goes off of weight.
Okay.
So it was about the same.
Okay.
And then here's the fun part. Our RV, technically our travel trailer that's 54 feet long. What do you think the property taxes on that are? It's like $400.
Huh.
It's so weird how once you get into the RV classification, how it changes everything, just depending on your state. I mean, if you're in Florida, a lot of things you don't even have property taxes in a lot of different states. So, but that's the reasons we've been getting the question. Well, why do you have a sleeper cab? Why wouldn't you make it shorter and have a day cab? Well, it actually saves you money in the long run. Now, the reason we didn't do a single axle like what they have is we're way more in weight. I mean, we're pushing 50,000 pounds versus
well, the pin weight is with a big axle.
Yeah, we're around 12,000 pounds on the pin.
Yeah, and we're less than 5, but so.
Yeah, it's those little nuances too. Hope this video was helpful for you today, because when we were trying to figure out the conversion part, I couldn't ever really get any main answers. And there's a lot of resources that you can look at in your state, but where you need to find it is probably under that property tax evaluation in your state, if you have that, so you understand what they're looking for to be classified as an RV. So, and they have some other things that are in there as well, but the 4 main criteria were the things that I was just talking about. Make sure you have that 110 electrical source, and that's pretty easy to do with the converter. And then you have to have the bed, sleeping quarters, that's easy. And then plumbing, you gotta have the plumbing. And then some of the other nuances are standard RV stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, hopefully that was of help for you today. Thanks, Robert, for jumping in.
Thanks for being here.
You need to look at their walkthrough video, because the Barclay is pretty cool.
Thank you, sir.
It is. It's a pretty cool thing. You know, he's got some awesome technology in there, I got to admit. You're a little he's above. Talking just like reclamation of water sources. I mean, all kinds of weird things.
There's so many. Well, that's what, to be honest, that all the little things. Technologies move so quickly.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are coming up. And we talked about that whole white, gray water and white, what do we want? And the fact that we can now put a pump in any pond or stream, and with the filter technology get fresh drinking water, eliminates the need for one of those. So,
there's a lot of different things that you can do as you plan it out.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for one that's already been built, you now kind of are armed with some of the questions of things. So, but then everything else is a nuance. Like they put a smart car on, we have a motorcycle. You're going to find whatever RV style that you need to have for whatever truck you're going to use. But I thought this was an informative little video today. Yeah. All right, with all that being said, thank you for your time. And Robert, we are
out.